My name is Sienna. I did not expect to be the kind of woman who finds out her life is a lie by scrolling through a phone. I thought my marriage was safe. I thought my best friend was in my corner. I was wrong. It started on a Wednesday. Ordinary. Dishwasher humming. Rain on the window. I came home with groceries and a sudden urge to bake. He called himself out for late work. He kissed my forehead on the way out. Ash, my husband, said I should rest. He smiled like everything was normal. I did not sleep. Something pulled me to his phone on the kitchen counter. It lay face down like an apology. I hesitated. I am not the snooping type. But a line of text burned in my memory. A single phrase I had overheard him say on the phone months ago. Tell her later. My skin prickled. I flipped it over. 13 messages in an hour. Photos. Short notes. A nickname I had never heard. The sender's profile photo was cropped. A woman's wrist, a silver bracelet. A chipped nail painted coral. I recognized that bracelet. Not a slow ache. A cold wildfire spread under my ribs. My best friend Maya wore that bracelet. She had given it to me once as a joke when we were 20. I had laughed and told her to keep it. I had watched her wear it for years, on movie nights at my birthday when life tilted. I had trusted her with my keys and my secrets. Her laugh was a sound I took home. I scrolled. Date stamps. Late dinners. Hotel names disguised as innocuous check-ins. A string of messages that read like a life apart from mine. Miss you. Tonight? Leave the light on. He had been writing words intended for her heart. He had been erasing his footprint from our bed with a smile. I called her. The line went straight to voicemail. The piece of my world that had been steady became a popcorn song of cracks. My hand shook as I placed the phone back. The groceries sat forgotten. The oven dinged. The house smelled like lemons and betrayal. I wanted to run to her and scream. I wanted to wake him and watch him flinch. Instead, something colder and steadier formed inside me. I would not break in front of them. I boxed the groceries. I pretended to drop something in the sink. My mind methodized. Evidence would be clean. No theatrics. No accusations without proof. They had both left fingerprints. The work was to make them undeniable. That night I made calm dinner. I set his plate. I smiled when he walked in with a look he used when he expected the evening to be ordinary. He kissed me and asked about my day. I answered like a woman who knew how to hide war behind a fork. Later, when he was in the shower, I took his keys and his jacket from the hall. I slipped into his coat and pulled the phone from the inner pocket. The texts were still there. I made copies, screenshots, photo backups. I wrote dates down on a legal pad with a pen that did not smear. And then I did something else. I sent one message to an unknown number from his phone. Meet me at 9 at the pier. Alone. It was a small, dangerous lie. It would be the first step in turning their secret into proof. At 9 p.m. The pier was empty and wind-bitter. I saw a figure in the dim light. She turned. It was Maya. She smiled with the same mouth she used to comfort me. Her phone chimed in her hand. A text preview flashed. Can you make it? He loves you so much. I read the words and felt my breath leave me. Maya looked at me like I had walked into the wrong scene. Her hair was tied into a careless knot. The bracelet flashed coral in the street lamp. Her smile dropped into something sharper. Sienna, she said. What is this? I held the phone out. Why are you texting him? Her face closed. He messaged me first. He said he was confused. He said he needed a friend. She said it like a rehearsed line. A thin tremor in her mouth betrayed it. Show me your messages, I said. Show me how you replied to miss you. She inhaled like she was making a choice. Sienna, please. This is personal. My fingers tightened around the phone. I will not be gaslit. I want to know if you will tell me you love him. That is the only question. Her eyes went somewhere away from me. She swallowed once. I love him, she said, low, as if the words had been waiting under her tongue. Not at first. Not how you think. But she stopped. I let a soft laugh out. Felt like a blade. You loved him while I had his last name. She flinched. The color left her cheeks. Then she looked at me in the way a person sees a mirror that has been smashed to pieces. Sienna, her voice broke. From my jacket the phone buzzed. Another message to Ash. He cares but he is scared. Tell him you will meet. Maya stared at the screen as though it would offer an explanation. It did not. I did something quiet. I put my free hand on Maya's wrist and felt the bracelet. It was warm with her skin. For years I had believed that warmth was friendship. Now it was a weight in the dark. What if I told your husband you were here? I said. Her mouth opened. She hesitated. 1,000 tiny lies formed like a chorus. You cannot do that, Sienna. We will ruin everything. We already are ruined, I said. You made me the punchline. He made me the joke. You both chose the same page. She cried then, a small sound that tore the night. I am sorry, she said. I never wanted to hurt you. Sorry is a word, I said. Proof is a word. Action is a word. I had planned a path for both. I walked her toward the pier bench. The wind hit like a warning. I had recorded the texts from his phone. I had photos of them leaving the same wine bar. I had one witness who would say she had seen Maya at his office at 2 a.m. But proof in my hand mattered only if I used it right. Maya's phone chimed. A new message. He is on his way. He wants you tonight. She looked up as if she had been struck. Sienna, please don't do anything. I smiled cold. I will do everything. The plan was simple from there. I would not shame in public without structure. I would not humiliate without leverage. I would trap the lie so it could not be dressed as rumor. I would keep my daughter safe. I would keep my conscience clean. And I would make them see the cost. I drove back to the house as if nothing had shifted. The living room light was on. I could hear the shower. Hot water sang. He would be coming home hopeful. He would smell of aftershave and late night. I made sure one small device was in place. A voice recorder in my pocket. Not to blackmail. To prove. Later, if it came to that, the recorder would show timelines. The truth was a matter of timestamps. Ash came home. He dropped the key in the bowl and kissed me like a man who had been given a second life. He did not see the prints I had left. He did not look at the jacket on the chair that had his phone inside with saved copies. He kissed me slow and slipped into bed. While he slept, I typed an anonymous message to Maya from a burner. Do not come tomorrow. There will be questions you cannot answer. Then I sent a copy of all text to a secure email I set up under a pseudonym. I cataloged each line, each timestamp, each code word. I breathed until the air felt manageable. The next morning, I opened my laptop and found an email that made my eyes go sharp. It was not from Maya. It was not from Ash. The header read, "We know your name. We know where you live." The body contained a single photo, my daughter sleeping, her hand tangled in a stuffed rabbit. The line under it said, "Stop or she sees the world you opened for her." The email should have been a threat I could hand to police. It felt more like ice in my veins. I have a child. I have fears. The two live together in a way that makes choices complicated. I called Ash at work. His voice was bright. He had an important meeting. He had that tone people use when they do not want trouble. I asked him about the email. He swallowed. Sienna, I will handle it. I can talk to someone. Don't worry. It was the automatic thing he said when he wanted to calm me. It did not calm me. It sharpened my resolve. I did 3 things that day. I called a lawyer. I called a private investigator. I called Maya, but not from my phone. I called from a blocked line. Grace Patel answered on the second ring. Her voice had the texture of a woman who had seen fury before and had learned how to make it useful. If your daughter was photographed, call the police. File a report. This is intimidation. We put that in the file. Next we build more proof. And we protect her. Do not delete anything. Save everything. I did as she said. I took screenshots and forwarded them into a legal folder. I saved emails. I copied metadata. Grace arranged for a formal police report and a liaison. She instructed me not to post a word. If this ramps into harassment, we will need the chain. The investigator was Jack. He introduced himself over coffee, a short man with tired eyes and the kind of calm that makes people say things. He had been a corporate investigator for years. He listened to my story without the gasp most friends make. He wrote notes. He asked precise questions. Who benefits if this stays quiet? he asked. Everyone with a stake in that life, I said. Ash. Maya. My mother when she chooses to pick sides. But not me. Jack tapped his pen. We start with what we can prove. Texts, photos, timestamps. Then we triangulate. Camera logs. Hotel check-in. Payment records. Finally, human testimony. Waitstaff. Uber drivers. Security footage. People leave traces. He worked quickly. He pulled Ash's credit card records with my permission. He found a pattern. 3 separate charges at a boutique hotel over the last 6 months. 2 of them at 2 a.m. One flagged a room with a name that matched the reservation Maya had used. He pulled phone tower pings. The map lit with intersections of their signal. Maya called me twice that day from a number that blocked ID. Each time I let it go to voicemail. Her messages were clutched with excuse. I listened without reply. Her voice sounded contrite. She tried to say it had been nothing. She asked me to be reasonable. Reasonable is a word for people whose lives do not break apart on the kitchen floor. I sat with Grace and Jack for hours. We mapped a timeline. We drafted a safe plan to extract admissions without placing my daughter in danger. We set up a trusted neighbor to take my girl after school. Carter, a friend of Jack's, agreed to sit at the school drop-off disguised as a coach. We made a list of everything that could be used to harm us and then wrote defenses for each item. By nightfall, the folder on my desk had weight. Screenshots with metadata. A printed hotel receipt with the same card digits as Ash's work card. An Uber receipt tied to Maya's account for 4 a.m. Security camera frames from a deli showing Maya at a counter minutes before Ash checked into a hotel. We were not done, but the net tightened. There was proof. It was clinical. No shouting. No messy drama. The plan was to use the law as a scalpel instead of a sledgehammer. There was one more thing Jack found. A new email address among the texts to Ash. The handle used a nickname I did not recognize. He traced it to a vanity domain registered recently. The registrar's contact was hidden, but the domain resolved to a server based in the city. Someone had tried to mask their identity. Someone had professional knowledge or help. We leaned close. Someone is helping them, Jack said. Or they are more careful than ordinary people. That is important. Grace tightened her jaw. Then we widened the net. Forensics on the server. Subpoenas if necessary. And we do not confront until we control the narrative. I slept with the recorder next to my head. Not because I wanted confrontation at midnight, but because I wanted to know the timestamps. I wanted to be sure the world could not rewrite what had been said. 2 a.m. My phone buzzed. A new message came in. The sender's number was unknown. It contained a single photo. Ash smiling in a hotel bar. His arm around a woman whose face was hidden. The caption read, "Nice night, boss. Enjoy the perks." The message had been sent from the same vanity domain Jack had flagged. Someone was not hiding everything. They were being calculated. The next morning I woke with a plan that felt like a tool in my hands. Not a weapon. A tool. Tools can dismantle things without breaking yourself. I called my sister Rowan. We had not been close in years. She answered surprised. I told her only what I had to. The bare facts. Her voice tightened. If he did this, Sienna, we came from the same house. You do not do this alone. Come by tonight. She arrived with soup and a steady look. Rowan has always been pragmatic. She has the kind of clarity that lands in the middle of chaos and says, "This is what we will do." We sat and poured facts like clean water into a bucket. She listened. No speeches. No pity. Grace arranged for an emergency consultation with a family law firm that also handled corporate compliance issues. She wanted me to have ironclad counsel. We could not let them spin by claiming emotional vindication. Legal structure would be the shield. Jack brought in someone else. A woman named Danny, an IT forensic specialist. She had worked with Jack on a white-collar case and was good with servers and maskers. They tried to hide the domain with a proxy, she said, eyes on her screen. But they slipped. The server left registry breadcrumbs. And I cornered one IP for you. I am working on backtraces. If they use a corporate VPN or a known provider, we will find the chain. Rowan sat and listened, then asked the question everyone avoids. What do you want to happen to them? I looked at her and kept my voice clean. I want the truth to be clear. I want my child safe. I want my marriage ended cleanly if he chooses. I want consequences that are lawful and lasting. I do not want to humiliate. I want accountability. Rowan nodded. Grace smiled, not cruel. Good. That gives us options. We set tasks. Jack would continue the digital tracing. Danny would pursue the vanity domain and attempt a mirror copy of its logs. Grace would draft letters and a protective order route, on standby if threats continued. Rowan arranged for my daughter to stay with her every third night. She said it softly. We will rotate. Safety first. I had one more ally to recruit. Maya's pattern included people who saw waitstaff, a concierge at a downtown hotel, a barista who remembered double lattes at 2 a.m. Jack put out feelers. He texted a line that sounded like a normal client question, and the responses came back. People remembered. Within 48 hours, 2 bar staff agreed to provide written statements. A hotel clerk admitted he had been paid in cash to use a false reservation name and to override sign-in protocols. A rideshare driver confirmed a late-night drop at a motel across town. The human trail was dirt. It was real. It did not vanish with a deleted message. We rehearsed how we would present it. Grace was clear. No public posts. No leaks. We file a complaint. We try to mediate if that is an option. If he resigns or steps away, fine. But we will maintain our record and escalate to authorities if they continue intimidation. That afternoon, a sealed envelope arrived at my front door. No stamp. No return. Inside was a single Polaroid of my daughter on a swing smiling. The back of the photo had a single line in black marker. She is watching. So are we. Rowan held the picture in her hand the way people hold fragile things. She did not give the glory of fear to those who sent it. She contacted the police. She called Carter. She called her friends. I made a choice then. I would not shrink. I would not kowtow to fear. I would protect my child and go forward. The allies around me would be the net that caught us if the world tried to pull free. That evening we gathered in a small living room, lights low. Grace spread papers in front of me. Jack read logs. Danny spoke of packet traces. Rowan brewed tea. We were a ragtag legal circle. We were a geometry of defense. I looked at them and felt the strange gratitude reserved for people who step into the fire with you and do not blink. If we do this right, I said, they will not get to tell the story. Grace looked up. They may get a sentence. They may lose jobs. Or they may pay fines. But you will reclaim the narrative. The law will hold the details. And you will protect your child. I felt steady for the first time in weeks. Not relieved. Not joyous. Steady. At midnight a call came through Grace's office, routed by someone who knew the number. The voice was clipped, male and very calm. We advise you to stop. This is your last warning. Walk away. Then the line clicked dead. The caller ID listed a private firm few families could afford. The voice was not Ash's. It was someone else. Someone with reach. The anonymous call confirmed what I already feared. Ash and Maya were not working alone. Someone bigger, someone professional was involved. But fear was their weapon, not mine. My weapon would be patience, proof, and timing. Grace gathered us the next morning. Her office blinds were drawn, papers stacked like towers around her desk. She didn't waste time. They're escalating, she said. That means we escalate too, but clean. We do not blink. We do not react emotionally. We outstructure them. Jack dropped a folder onto the table. Inside were printouts of the vanity domain logs Danny had cracked. She had traced 2 IP addresses back to a small corporate consultancy, one that specialized in reputation management. Translation: they buried scandals for a fee. They hired cover, Jack said flatly. This isn't amateur hour. It's orchestrated. Rowan folded her arms. Then we hit harder. Grace nodded. We build a counterplan. Step 1. Formal complaint. Family court and law enforcement. Step 2. Press a civil claim if needed. Step 3. Secure public optics. We don't release anything until timing hurts them most. The timing would come soon. Ash had been shortlisted for a promotion at his firm. A public-facing role with scrutiny attached. Maya had been angling for a leadership seat at a nonprofit she adored. Both needed reputations polished. Both needed silence. I wanted them stripped of both. The first move was quiet. Grace drafted a protective order citing harassment, intimidation, and threats against my child. The emails, the Polaroids, the anonymous call, all of it went into the record. She filed under seal, making it official without a spectacle. The second move was sharper. Jack and Danny traced payment records from Ash's corporate card. They uncovered withdrawals matching the consultancy fees. Danny cross-referenced timestamps with the anonymous threats. The overlap was perfect. Ash had been paying strangers to silence me with intimidation. This, Grace said, holding the receipts, is your leverage. He used marital funds. That is misappropriation. That is fraud. That is enough to break him legally. The third move involved optics. Rowan suggested we prepare a controlled leak. Not gossip, not scandal, but a press packet with documentation, ready to be released if Ash or Maya tried to smear me publicly. Grace agreed but insisted, only as the last card. Keep it locked until we must play it. Meanwhile, I started gathering my own subtle allies. Friends at my daughter's school. Neighbors who had seen unusual cars parked on our street. Parents who had noticed Maya with Ash at events where I wasn't present. People talk. People remember. I collected their words like drops of rain. Each night I rehearsed the confrontation in my mind. Not screaming. Not crying. A clean reveal with evidence lined like dominoes. Their faces would fall not because I shouted louder but because I had stripped away every excuse. One evening, as Rowan tucked my daughter into bed, she whispered, "You're calmer than I expected." I answered honestly, "Because I'm past grief. I'm building the end." Still the pressure mounted. Maya texted me one night from her personal phone, breaking silence for the first time. Her words were frantic. "Sienna, please stop this. You don't know what you're doing. He'll destroy you. Just let it go." I stared at the screen, then typed a single reply. "You already destroyed me. Now I rebuild myself with the truth." Her response was instant. "You don't understand. There are people involved who won't stop." I locked the phone. I refused to feed her panic. Grace had told me, "Let them reveal their fear. Use it. Don't mirror it." We set a date. Ash's promotion announcement gala. Public, loud, filled with cameras. That would be the reveal. Grace arranged for legal papers to be finalized that morning. Jack prepared a dossier neatly indexed. Danny prepared a mirrored server with all digital evidence. Rowan promised to sit in the room and watch me to keep me steady. But life does not always wait for plans. 2 nights before the gala, I received another email. This one wasn't a threat. It was a video file. Shaky footage, filmed from behind a half-open door. Maya's voice whispering, "She's closing in. If he doesn't stop her, we'll both lose everything." Then Ash's voice answered, "She won't stop? Then maybe she won't walk away at all." The video ended. My hands trembled, not with fear but with the knowledge that they weren't just betraying me anymore. They were plotting something darker. The gala wasn't just my stage, it was the battlefield. The morning of the gala was gray. The kind of sky that pressed down like a warning. Grace called at 7 sharp. "Papers are ready. Protective order filed. Evidence packet printed, notarized, and sealed. You hand it to the right people, not to him. Understood?" Understood. Jack arrived with his worn leather satchel, carrying both digital backups and physical binders. Danny had mirrored everything twice, one copy stored off-site in case the worst happened. Rowan sat at my kitchen table sipping black coffee, her eyes locked on me. "We go tonight," she said. No turning back. But by noon the first pivot struck. The police liaison called Grace. The protective order had been delayed, pushed down the docket for administrative reasons. Grace's voice was tight on the phone. "Someone is leaning on strings. This isn't coincidence. They're buying time." She looked at me. "Do not panic. The gala is still ours. But know this. You're walking in without the shield we expected." The weight settled on me like a stone. No protection order meant no legal buffer if Ash tried to spin it. Still, Grace reminded me, the evidence is self-sufficient. Once Carver, the firm partner, has it, it doesn't matter if Ash screams denial. His career burns regardless. 3. A second pivot landed. Rowan's phone buzzed. It was Lily, Maya's younger cousin. Someone who had always been a little too curious about my life. She whispered, "Maya knows. She knows you're planning something tonight. She's telling him. They're preparing." Rowan held the phone out to me. I could hear Maya's laughter in the background, brittle and nervous. "They're coming early," Lily said quickly, "to make you look insane before you can move." Jack swore under his breath. "They're setting you up." Grace adjusted instantly. "Then we adjust too. You don't walk into their trap. You wait. You let them show their hand first." We rewrote the plan in a single hour. Instead of confronting Ash on stage, I would bypass him entirely. I would hand the evidence directly to Carver and the compliance officer at the gala's start. They would be armed before Ash could twist the spotlight. Rowan squeezed my hand. "This isn't about humiliation anymore. It's about survival." The gala began at 8. The hotel lobby glittered with chandeliers and polished marble. Cameras flashed. Ash arrived early in his finest suit, smiling like a man untouched. Maya hovered at his side in a dress I had seen once before. My dress, borrowed years ago and never returned. My stomach nodded, but I didn't flinch. I waited 10 minutes, then entered with Grace and Rowan flanking me. Jack slipped into the crowd, keeping a watchful eye. Danny stayed outside in the car, ready to push evidence online if anything went wrong. The first moment of danger came almost immediately. A man in a dark suit brushed past me in the lobby, pressing a folded card into my hand. I opened it. A single line typed, "Leave now or your daughter pays." Rowan saw it. Her face went pale then hard. "They're still pushing intimidation." Grace didn't blink. "We expected this. Hand it to me. We go forward." I obeyed. Inside the ballroom, Carver stood near the stage. I moved quickly, binder in hand, but just as I reached him, Maya stepped into my path. Her smile was sharp, almost triumphant. "Sienna," she whispered, "think carefully. Do you really want to drag your daughter into this circus?" Her words were deliberate, chosen to rattle. For a second I froze. Then Rowan's voice cut through. "She's not dragging anyone. You are." Carver noticed the tension and stepped closer. His eyes narrowed at the sight of the binder in my hands. "Mrs. Hart," he said evenly, "do you have something for me?" "Yes," I said louder than intended. "The truth." I placed the binder into his hands. At that moment, Ash mounted the stage. The host announced his name with fanfare. Cameras turned. Applause rose. Ash grinned, perfect teeth flashing, and launched into his speech. "This firm believes in loyalty, in family, in values." Carver flipped the first page. His smile vanished. He beckoned the compliance officer. They began to read under the ballroom lights, ignoring the speech on stage. Maya's expression faltered. She tried to move toward Ash, but Rowan blocked her path. "Not tonight," Rowan said coldly. Then it happened. Carver lifted his head, gestured to security, and walked toward the stage. The applause stuttered. The music faltered. Ash's words trailed off mid-sentence as he saw his partner's face. Carver leaned into the microphone, cutting Ash off. His voice was grave. "Mr. Hart, please step down. Now." Gasps rippled across the room. Ash froze, his smile collapsing in real time. The ballroom fell into a stunned silence. Ash stood frozen, microphone in hand, smile slipping like a mask dissolving in rain. Carver's command hung in the air. Guests shifted uneasily in their seats. Ash tried to laugh it off. "Carver, this is hardly the time." "Step down," Carver repeated louder this time. His tone left no space for debate. Security flanked the stage. Cameras whirred, capturing every second. Maya paled, her hand tightening on her clutch. Ash forced another smile. This must be a misunderstanding. But Carver wasn't finished. He turned to the audience, his voice steady. "There are allegations under review. Serious allegations involving misconduct, misuse of funds, and conflicts of interest. Tonight, evidence was presented directly to the board." The crowd buzzed. Whispers spread like wildfire. Ash's color drained. He turned toward me in the back of the room. Our eyes locked. His expression twisted, not guilt, not shame. Fury. Maya moved quickly, trying to climb the steps, but Rowan intercepted her. Not this time, she said, her voice firm. Ash grabbed the microphone again, desperate. This is slander. None of this is true. My wife, she's unstable. She's vindictive. She fabricated all of this to ruin me. The words cut across the ballroom. Head swiveled toward me. For a moment I felt every eye burn into my skin. The old fear clawed at me, the fear of being dismissed, erased, made small. But I wasn't small anymore. Grace stepped forward, binder in hand. The firm has verified bank records, emails, hotel receipts, and communications with a reputation management consultancy hired to intimidate Mrs. Hart and silence her. Gasps rang out. Carver held the binder high. This is not slander. This is evidence. Ash's voice broke into a shout. You don't know what you're doing. This is my life, my career. It was, Carver said coldly. Effective immediately. You are suspended pending investigation. Security stepped closer. Ash's composure shattered. He tried to push past them, but they grabbed his arms. He struggled, wild-eyed, his voice echoing off the chandeliered ceiling. Sienna, you did this. You ruined everything. I didn't flinch. I spoke clearly so everyone heard. No, you ruined it yourself. The room erupted. Some gasped. Some whispered. Maya dropped her clutch, scattering makeup across the marble floor. She lunged forward, her voice sharp with panic. Stop. Stop this. It's not his fault, it's mine too. The words silenced the room again. People stared at her. Her confession hung heavy. Carver's eyes narrowed. We'll review your role as well, Ms. Lane. Please step aside. Maya's face crumpled. She glanced at Ash, hoping for rescue, but his eyes burned only with rage. He didn't defend her. He didn't even look at her. And then the final blow. Jack from the back of the room held up a tablet. The screen glowed with the video, the one of Maya whispering. She's closing in. If he doesn't stop her, we'll both lose everything. And Ash's chilling reply, she won't stop? Then maybe she won't walk away at all. Gasps broke into shouts. Some stood. Some pulled out phones to record. The evidence was no longer quiet, it was public. Carver's face hardened. He turned to security. Escort both of them out. Now. Ash screamed as they pulled him from the stage. Maya wept as she stumbled after, her bracelet flashing under the harsh lights. The audience parted like water, leaving them no escape from the stares and murmurs. I stood tall, unmoving, my daughter's safety carved into every choice I'd made. They had thought they could erase me. Instead, they erased themselves. Just as Ash was dragged through the doors, he twisted back and shouted, voice hoarse with venom. This isn't over, Sienna. You'll regret the day you crossed me. The doors slammed shut, but his promise echoed long after. The ballroom erupted the moment Ash and Maya were dragged out. Conversations fractured into shouts, whispers, and gasps. Guests clutched their phones, recording, texting, sending updates to the world outside. The gala was no longer a celebration. It had become a public execution. Carver leaned into the microphone again, steady as a surgeon. We will continue this evening with transparency. The firm has zero tolerance for misconduct. We thank Mrs. Hart for her courage. He looked at me as he spoke those last words. For the first time in years, someone with authority had acknowledged my existence, not as a background figure, not as just a wife, but as the person who had brought the truth forward. Applause broke out in hesitant waves. Some guests clapped, unsure if it was appropriate. Others stared at me wide-eyed. I kept my spine straight. I would not shrink under their gaze. Rowan stepped closer, her hand brushing my arm. You did it, she whispered. But I knew better. Doing it and surviving the aftermath were two different things. Grace motioned for me to follow her out of the ballroom. Jack intercepted us in the hall, tablet still in hand. It's already online, he said. The video. Someone leaked it from inside. This isn't just firm gossip now, it's public. My stomach tightened. How fast? Fast enough, Jack said grimly. By morning, his name will be trending for all the wrong reasons. Rowan glanced behind us. And Maya. She confessed on record, Grace said. We couldn't have scripted it better. But scripting didn't stop consequences. By the time we reached the lobby, reporters had already begun to gather outside. Flashbulbs popped through the glass doors. Security tried to hold them back, but voices carried. Mrs. Hart, did you know? How long was he cheating? How did you find out? Grace blocked the path with her briefcase. Keep your head down. Don't engage. Rowan and I moved quickly through the crowd. My pulse pounded. Each shout felt like a spotlight digging into my skin. Still, I didn't answer. Silence was stronger than panic. Outside, the night air hit like ice. The crowd surged. Cameras blinded. But then I saw him. Ash. Somehow he had slipped past security, his tie loose, his suit disheveled. His face was red with rage. He shouted above the chaos. Liar. She's a liar. She forged everything. She set me up. The mob of reporters turned to him, microphones thrust forward. His words came unhinged, spilling faster than sense. She stole from me. She hacked my accounts. She's dangerous. Grace whispered. Perfect. He's digging his own grave. But then his eyes found me. That fury returned, sharp and dangerous. He lunged forward, breaking through a line of security. His voice cracked like thunder. You think you won tonight? This is just the start. Rowan pulled me back as security swarmed. They restrained him again, forcing him toward a waiting car. His words echoed even as the doors slammed. You'll regret this, Sienna. The reporters devoured it. Shouts filled the air. Mrs. Hart, are you safe? Do you fear for your life? Do you believe he'll retaliate? Grace shoved me toward a side exit. Jack led the way, scanning every corner. We slipped into the shadows, leaving the chaos behind. Back at my apartment, Harper, who had been caring for my daughter, met us at the door. She wrapped her arms around me before I could speak. She's asleep, she whispered. She's safe. Relief crashed into me, but only for a second, because waiting on my kitchen table was a plain white envelope. No return address. Rowan picked it up carefully and slid the paper out. Inside was a single photo, my daughter on the school playground earlier that week. On the back, in block letters, you exposed him. Now we expose you. The room went still. Grace's jaw clenched. Jack swore under his breath. Rowan's face drained of color. I stared at the photo, my pulse thundering. They weren't finished. Ash wasn't finished. My phone buzzed at that exact moment. A text from an unknown number. Check your window. I turned and froze. Across the street, in the shadows, a figure stood watching my apartment. I yanked the curtain shut, my heart hammering. The shadow across the street didn't move. Grace called the police immediately, her voice sharp and steady. Rowan stood guard at the door, while Jack stepped onto the balcony with binoculars. Minutes later, the figure melted into the night. No car. No trace. Just gone. The police arrived an hour later, too late as always. They took statements, promised to patrol. One officer muttered, "Looks like harassment tied to the case. Stay vigilant." Then they left us in silence. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the photo from the envelope. My daughter, innocent and smiling, caught in the middle of a war she never chose. Rage mixed with fear, crystallizing into resolve. By morning, the headlines were everywhere. Prominent attorney suspended amid scandal. Secret affair and threats alleged. Video leak raises questions of misconduct. Ash's face was plastered across every news site. His once proud smile now paired with words like disgraced and investigation. Maya's name trailed beneath, tied to him like an anchor. Rowan scrolled her phone at breakfast. It's gone national, she said. He can't recover from this. But Grace wasn't satisfied. Scandals fade. We need the investigation to stick. We need charges, not just gossip. Jack chimed in. We've got enough to file harassment claims and misuse of funds. The consultancy invoices alone will sink him. I nodded. Do it. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. You think you won? Look outside. My blood chilled. I opened the blinds. Parked across the street was a black SUV, engine running, tinted windows. The same vehicle Jack had noted weeks earlier. Grace grabbed her phone. We escalate now. Protective order, restraining order, emergency custody filing. We make it impossible for him to get near you. I agreed. But inside, I knew Ash wasn't acting alone. Someone was still shielding him, feeding him information. The consultancy. Maybe even someone inside the firm who resented Carver's authority. The shadow war hadn't ended with his suspension. It was mutating. That afternoon Maya called. Not texts. Not blocked numbers. A full call, desperate. I let it ring twice before answering. Her voice cracked immediately. Sienna, please. You have to stop this. He's unraveling. He blames me for everything. He said he'll come for you. For your daughter. I can't control him anymore. The irony nearly made me laugh. Control? You had no control when you slid into my marriage. You had no control when you wore that bracelet and called yourself my friend. She sobbed. I made a mistake. I know that now. But he's dangerous. Please just back down. I cut her off. No. I don't back down. Not now. Not ever. I hung up. Rowan exhaled, eyes locked on me. She's scared. That means he's cornered. By evening, another twist hit. A local news station aired leaked footage. Not from my side, but from his. Security camera clips from our home. Spliced together to paint me as unstable. Me pacing at night. Me raising my voice on the phone. The headline. Wife's breakdown at center of scandal? My hand shook. He turned it on me. Grace didn't waver. Then we release everything. Not just to the board. To law enforcement, the press, the courts. We bury his lies under the weight of truth. Jack already had the files prepped. Danny sent the mirrored server to 3 journalists she trusted. Within an hour, the counterstory was live. Evidence shows pattern of harassment and threats by suspended attorney. Screenshots of texts. The audio of Maya's whispered fear. The receipts. By midnight, the public narrative had shifted. His smear campaign collapsed before it could take root. But he wasn't finished. 2 a.m. Another email arrived. Short. Brutal. Tomorrow. Noon. Court steps. If you don't show, we take her. Attached was a photo of the courthouse downtown. The message wasn't just a threat. It was a demand. I stared at the screen, pulse thundering. Tomorrow would decide everything, whether this ended in law or in chaos. The courthouse loomed like a stone fortress under the midday sun. The steps were already crowded with reporters, cameras, and curious onlookers. Grace walked beside me, her briefcase clutched tight. Rowan held my arm, steady as a rock. Jack scanned the crowd with sharp eyes, while Danny texted updates from across the street. I clutched the envelope in my hand, the final evidence packet, notarized, time-stamped, irrefutable. Inside were the consultancy invoices, the threatening emails, the photo of my daughter with the handwriting on the back, and the damning video of Ash and Maya plotting. Everything tied into one chain. As we reached the steps, I saw him. Ash stood there in his tailored suit, though it no longer fit like armor. His hair was disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. Maya hovered behind him, pale and hollow. His hand shook as he pointed toward me. There she is, he shouted, voice cracking. The liar. The thief. The woman trying to destroy me. Reporters searched. Microphones stretched toward my face. Flashbulbs went off like lightning. Grace raised her hand. Mrs. Hart has a statement. I took a breath. My heart thundered. For years I had been invisible, dismissed, erased. But not today. Today my voice would be louder than his lies. I am here because my husband betrayed me, I said clearly. Not just with infidelity, but with threats, intimidation, and fraud. He called me just a housewife. He thought I was powerless. He was wrong. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ash's face twisted, but before he could shout again, Grace stepped forward and handed the envelope to the court officer waiting on the steps. Filed, she said firmly. The officer nodded, tucked the packet under his arm, and escorted it inside. In that moment, I knew the truth was no longer mine alone. It belonged to the record. It belonged to history. Ash lunged forward, fury boiling over. You'll regret this, Sienna. Security blocked him instantly, holding him back as he thrashed. Maya tried to calm him, but he shook her off violently, shouting, This is your fault too. The cameras caught every second. His meltdown wasn't private anymore. It was broadcast live. Grace leaned close to me. This is the moment. You've won. Don't move. Don't flinch. I didn't. I stood tall while Ash screamed himself hoarse. Reporters captured his downfall in real time. Viewers at home watched a man unravel on the courthouse steps, while the woman he once called useless stood composed, steady, unbroken. Within hours, the footage spread across the internet. Headlines blared. Suspended attorney loses control in public meltdown. Wife's evidence filed in court battle. Community rallies behind courageous mother. By evening, the consultancy dropped him as a client. The firm cut all ties. His fiancée, if Maya could even still call herself that, was seen leaving his apartment with bags. And me? I went home to my daughter. I held her close. For the first time in months, I felt peace settle over my chest. The war was over. Not because I screamed louder, but because I turned their lies into their noose. Rowan poured tea that night, smiling at me softly. You're free now, Grace added, and you've set precedent. Women will hear this story. They'll know silence isn't the only option. I looked out the window, the city glowing under the night. Ash's threats still rang in my memory, but they no longer had weight. He was finished. To anyone listening now, I'll say this. Never let someone tell you that you are less. Never believe the lie that silence is safety. Betrayal doesn't have to end you. It can remake you. You are stronger than their secrets. Ash thought he could bury me. Instead, I buried his empire in daylight. And if you're here listening, remember this. Justice can take time. But when it comes, it is unstoppable. If my story held you, share it. Someone else needs to hear that they, too, can rise from betrayal. Subscribe because more stories are waiting. And sometimes the darkest betrayals bring the brightest revenges.